so much for joining me here today. I do want to, of course, go ahead and get started. Just had to make sure, my sound was working right. So, thank you so much for tuning into today's video, and let's get right into it. So, as we see, we have 3 decks here. This is the Wisdom Oracle, the Wisdom of the Oracle deck, right? Very beautiful ones. Deciding to bring more out because of the new way that I'm doing readings. I'll have more time to pick more cards. Sybil of the Oracle, this deck as well. Really have been enjoying that. And good old tarot. So, thank you so much for joining all of my air signs. No matter where this placement is for you, I'm sure you will find something here very useful. And without further ado, we're going to start with the Wisdom of Oracle. You can see I just pulled that one. I'm trying to think of where I want to place these while let me put them down here off to the side. This is so good. I had to spend some time basically getting my setup ready because, like I said, this is the rest of the year. So many readings coming towards you, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you can see more and more. Also, be sure to like the video. Appreciate you for viewing and liking. So, I love like card shuffling as well. I try to get as much as I can, but it's like either be in frame with it or be closer to the mic, but let's see what we can do. Either way, I think my favorite is shuffling. Anyway, so either way, I enjoy both of them. Let me know which one would you prefer me to have more of. Would it be the, shuffling of the cards, or would it be the flipping like that? So, without further ado, we're gonna get 3, 1, 2, 3 cards from each deck, and just get some more understanding on what you may be seeing at this time in your life. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Okay. Going for the first card. We have the number 50. The number 50. No place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Let me see. Okay. The number 50 and the number 5 in itself just means change. So, essential meanings with this card is like authenticity and, coming home to yourself and feeling like you're at home. And you may have that energy of just arriving at a place where you feel like you fit, where you feel like you belong, or really even not even arriving to a place outside, but or arriving home outside of yourself, but really just being comfortable in your skin, cozy, right? And feeling safe. So it says, the message is home feels safe and secure. It's a comfortable place to rest and create a place that is known and you can call yours. This card signals that you're in this energy, right? You're in this like a comfortable energy to create something for yourself, and you have the ability to adjust yourself, and being able to be at home in your skin is like solidifying that you're claiming your sovereignty, your dignity, your integrity, and the different aspects of yourself that no one can take away from you. You know who you are. So it's it's a positive thing when you feel like you're coming across to the world in the way that you wish to, but it's also very important of just knowing who you are and no one being able to take that away from you. You know what I mean? So you hold your head high when you walk like that, when you understand, when you have that sort of an energy, you hold your head high and you are not letting pride or humility, it's not about being prideful or, being overly humble and things of that nature. Instead, you're like looking at yourself as an observer and you're seeing like where you were and where you are now. And you're really looking at yourself with eyes of love and understanding and like deep understanding in your soul. And this puts you in a position of power and strength. Authenticity is your home and you feel safe, like in the house of your spirit, right? So, for as far as relationships, any things like that, any other like lovers or anyone that you feel comfortable enough to invite in your home, or just to be vulnerable with, which is another way of saying, inviting in your home, you're in sync with, and my favorite messages is the messages of prosperity. So, when you act in an authentic way, you command the world to reflect back to you exactly what is in your highest good. So your business choices, the investments that you make, and the creative projects you immerse yourself in are powerfully on point. And you may be asking yourself, well, why? Why am I, experiencing this? We all get in those moments where we need confirmation of what if something that you're doing is really for you, or we get into this mode of, oh wow, the things that are happening to me right now feel unbelievable. And you may be asking yourself why. And it's because when you are fully yourself and you're radically accepting everything in your journey to date, both successes and failures, you will see the divinity in all things. Abundance is a natural progression when you experience this kind of authenticity. When you allow yourself to really be you, you can only experience more and go higher and things of that nature. So definitely, keep yourself, in the same thing of, being having prosperity. You also have to think about protecting what is yours. And there are times when, what is familiar and known is not the best choice. So, we have great memories more than, most species out here and creatures and things like that. So we always look to what we know of the past. And my favorite quote is like, your past does not dictate your future. So step out of that, take the positive things that you know about yourself and, create that anchor. You can see how this is like anchored in, right? Take that what you know of yourself and have that be your anchor. And just like how you have to do your actual physical home, decluttering things, getting rid of things, selling things, getting rid of what no longer serves you so that it can go on and move on and serve someone else. Even if you have a lot of projects that you need to create and, things of that nature, it's like it being in your home is cluttering it up, not in a bad way, but it just in the way that you have more that you need to express. You have new things that maybe you're downsizing. So that's the same thing spiritually and mentally of, getting rid of the old versions of yourself that no longer fit as well, right? So let's go ahead and get another card. One more card. Oh, two more cards for my ear signs from this deck. Alright, now let's get the next card is a 12, which is definitely a 3. In the wind. A change in the wind. So a change in the wind is definitely just meaning like a sense that unseen changes is being initiated on your behalf. So even how I was saying, getting rid of the old things and all of that before you actually make changes in the physical, there are unseen changes and spiritual changes that are place in your mind and in your heart that gives you that, where it gives you that push to do something physical. So by the time that you've actually made a physical change, it's because you've been thinking about it so much and things of that nature. So, you know, it's just your awareness is now getting sense that there's a plan in place. You know what I mean? So being prepared, you know, a preparation for the storm, you know. And I feel like even when there's a storm, when it says a change in wind, where can you go to? Like, where does anybody want to go when there's a storm inside of, you know, that home, that place you feel safe? So when you sense a change in yourself, a change in the, you know, times, whatever the case may be, that's something that is important to, you know, come home to yourself. Go to where you feel safest. And also it's all about, you know, awareness that your plans are not on firm ground. So it's like this is a time where you can still make great changes to your plans and still have it come out in a great way. And it's like feeling a shift in, you know, in yourself and, like I said, in your plans, because before anything happens physically, you still have that ability to make these changes within yourself. So it's about any uncertainty about which directions like the wind will blow in. It's obviously just human nature to yearn for something that's certain and really to resist changes sometimes. And that's why I said about, you know, changing the past versions of yourself. It's not that you don't love who you are. It's really about, you know, you're evolving into the version that you've always wanted to become. So when the world wants to remain consistent like zebra stripes, yet nothing in like the human experience is actually just black and white like that, and not, that's why, you know, the symbolism of these cards, right? And nothing in our lives really remains that static. You know, there is one thing that is guaranteed in life, and that's change. So now is a time of transformation, as outer conditions are temporarily just moving out of sync with your desires. So you may be thinking about one thing and then going in a different direction, but it's nothing for you to worry about. Like I said, you know, the energy of the plans, they're still movable. They're being made firm. So they're not yet set and solid in place, which is a good thing because you can still add some ingredients, and you know what I mean? You still have that ability to change and go in, you know, make this go in the direction that you will be happiest with. So, you know, now is the time for a transformation, and these outer conditions are temporarily moving out of sync with your desires and expectations. So stay the course and remember that even storms serve to clear the air, which is, you know, this air reading. So of course a change in wind is going to come up, right? And you know, I would say the best thing that you could do is anticipate it with curiosity as you wonder what is coming in on like the shifting winds. There's an unknown that, you know, the unknown is where a lot of magic lies. You know what I mean? This is a good time and it's nothing to be afraid of. And let's see if there's anything. Someone said something about no contact in the chat, so I do have the chat pulled up here. So let's see if there's anything about, you know, this is just a general as well, but obviously people want to know about the relationships outside of themselves. So this is like the outside change. This is like a prosperity change. Also, let me see. The card of, you know, a change in wind, it does have a lot to do with, I guess you could say, you know, of course, your prosperity. So if you're looking at what you have done now, like I said before, not everything that you've done in the past is indicative of what will happen in the future, but that's just a good gauge. You can get a good gauge from the things that have happened in the past. But your prosperity is like when you go on an endeavor to create a prosperous life, you will definitely encounter unexpected reversals that cause you to shift your directions. This is a good thing, so there's nothing to fear about change, of course. And perhaps there's an opportunity that you sought when, like you sought out when you went to someone else. Perhaps you pursued something that you suddenly realize it's not your highest good. You might not be 100% clear on where you need to go, but you are certain that things are not going as planned and circumstances are not in your control right now. The best thing to do is to wait it out. All will be well, as it always is, and even better, actually. So, trust and change. Like I said, there's nothing certain but change. So, let's see what we got. Last card. I like this Oracle deck. Let me know what you think about this one. Alright, let's see. 41, which is also a 5, so it's like 5, 3, and another 5. Okay. So this card is saying, soulmates, which is funny. Somebody asked about no contact and all of that, but you know, harmonious partnerships. This card is all about, those type of partnerships, love, friendships, companionship, a relationship that is fostering personal growth. So I would even say it's the relationship with your inner self as well, since we did get messages about, focusing on yourself and, taking yourself into another direction. So, it's not just the outer relationships that you have with different people, it's the inner relationships that you are having, right? And, focusing in on that and understanding like you're meant to evolve and transform with companionship of others. So certain people enter your life in order to take you to the next level of healing, consciousness, and authenticity, which is another word that's coming up with this card here. It's like, so what makes you feel being what people around you make you feel like you're in your authentic self, as well as just that energy of what version of you makes you, feel the best, or, how is your relationship with yourself, and how are you fostering your most authentic self with when you're dealing with yourself? Like how is your relationship with yourself making you comfortable enough to be yourself when you're outside with other people and everything of that nature, right? So it says strategic alliances when it comes to prosperity are most important because you are beginning to attract the perfect people to you that are going to support your dreams, and this is a journey that you will share with other people like mentors, business partners, helpers, employees, creative partners, and even strangers. They're opening doors for you because even if you're like, okay, well, how is it people that I don't know will help me, because the people that you don't know are also going to just support you authentically because they see your, what I mean, when you present yourself. Let's say that the people who currently know you, they know a past version of you. So when you're presenting the new version of yourself, they get thrown off and they're like, okay, well, they're not as supportive as they could be. But when you have people who, don't know you from a can of paint, as we commonly say, they don't know you and they don't know your past self, they don't know the story of who you were, they are just getting used to and in love with who you are now. So, that is, they're allowing you that ability, number 5, to change, right? And they're allowing you, there we go, the number 5 here. I want to make sure you see it. They're allowing you that ability to change, and they're, what I mean, they're being a part of that in a certain way, because the more you feel supported is the more you will, show up for yourself. Now, we always say like, oh, well, it shouldn't take other people showing up for you to, do it yourself. But you having, an audience, it does give you a certain amount of confidence. You having people who really, support what you do, it does give you that confidence to keep going. Now, we always can say, oh, we should keep going no matter what. Of course, that is easier said than done sometimes, but of course you have to be your number one fan because you're going to be doing a lot of stuff for yourself in the beginning. But the people who come along and, the strangers, they are opening a portal for you to step through to join a harmonic dance of collaboration, commitment, and co-creation. And this is what you have been waiting for. This is the energy when that is more supporting and supportive that you have been waiting for. And so, not everyone is going to understand everything. Everything is not for everybody. But when you find people who genuinely just like what you do or respect your way of going about something, it does help, right? So we're gonna put that deck to the side, and now we have the Symbols deck. The Symbols deck. So let's go ahead and shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Let's get 3 cards. We're going 3 for 3. I'm gonna scoot these up just a tinch. A tinch. Thinking about doing an angel number at the end of this reading as well. Okay. The card here is of how fitting, right? Transformation, transformation. The card of transformation. So that is talked about in the No Place Like Home. It's also talked about in a change in wind. You know what I mean? So this energy is saying transformation is our only fate. Transformation is our only fate. You know what I mean? Like this card said, nothing stays. The only constant that you have in life is the fact that there's change, and the symbols that's on this card is like a swan, which represents flexibility and gracefulness. To others, like a swan seems to be in great danger with its neck bent back like that, but a swan knows it is completely safe despite what appearances are contrary. And that is the attitude that we must take in order to be victorious, as symbolized by the olive and the laurel leaves that you can see like all around, with the swan neck bent back, and then the olive leaf is just representing, prosperity and, victorious actions and outcomes for you. And this is the religio girl. Religio mythological child associations, which is Ptah. I was getting like thrown off by this name. It's Ptah, Ptah, which is the ancient Kemetic god of craftsmanship, rebirth, and creation. Which is funny that I said, home is like, building and, things of that nature. Like you're building your home for yourself. So you are taking that role of, being the craftsman, being the architect of your life, and that energy is like, according to some scholars, the name Kemet was derived from like the Greek spelling of a temple in Memphis, right? Memphis, which this means the temple of like the spirit of Ptah, which worships also, spread to Greco-Roman world and different things like that. But it's also symbolic of Hecate, or Heka, which was the ancient Kemetic god of magic, Heka. The term magic is problematic to some people, but because there's no distinction between like the religion and the supernatural energy. But that's just who the card regularly symbolizes. But today, understanding the card meaning is like today will never be like it was yesterday, and tomorrow won't be like it was today. That's just the facts. Even if you do things similar, everything, there's a change. There's slight changes. Even if it's like the time you wake up, maybe you hit snooze, maybe you don't use an alarm at all. There will always be sudden, slight changes, which is not a bad thing. The earth is spinning toward winter, even as you crank your air conditioning, like, because because it's hot right now. So we know this, and that is why we don't run down and start flailing and shouting that winter is coming. You already know that there is a change that's going to come, and you know it's inevitable. And you know what I mean? You don't have to fear change in general, but people do fear the unpredictable changes that would be classified as negative, right? They fear that. So when you're doing that, it's like, what are we really disturbed by? Are situations that force us to transform our perception of a reality we are comfortable with. So a change that is perceived to be positive by our minds it always validates or supports who we are and how we will sustain the things that we have already known. But when there's a change, as long as our identities are remaining intact, we're fine with it. You know what I mean? But if there's not that same sort of energy, like where if you are noticing changes about yourself and about the way that you think, we feel that we're not sure how we're going to fit into the same mode of our daily lives anymore. And our lives are so suddenly, it feels like the whole world could be coming to an end in a lot of ways, right? So it's important for us to not be so easily shaken by the changes and the things that you're seeing, the unexpected circumstances that you perceive to be negative. These things can, be happening for you, and they cannot be permitted to, permanently transform you into something that you don't want. Remember, even if something negative is happening for you, it's happening so that you can change into something better. You know what I mean? So it's not happening just, to give you a hard time or, anything like that. It's really happening for you so that you can understand that, there's more that you can, experience. And negative things that are happening can come into your mind and come into your circumstances to build you up and build you back better, right? So let's get another card. Cards be falling on the ground. But let's go. We have the card of rage. I think that people, when they think about change, right? You see the card of rage. I was trying to look at the picture for myself, but looks like a two-head, which is symbolic to me of the Gemini, which Geminis are up in here. I feel like also this coming out with the card of the wind is when a fire is going, and wind is something that stirs it up even more and gets it moving even more and gets it rushing even faster. So it says this card is the eternal flames of Comorit. It's the honorable and the dishonorable are commemorated by the void. The key symbol with this card is the Chimera, which was a fire-breathing female monster, which is what you're seeing is a lion's head, a goat's body, a serpent's tail, and this is very symbolic. But yes, due to the symbolism, it is debated that it represents the desecration of the Divine Mother, especially the dark/warrior aspects of the divine, because women, the more even just the feminine side of yourself, you're told that's the softer side, and it's not the one to get up and when someone is mad or doing anything like that, that's considered masculine. But we're all human and we all have a range of emotions that are available to us. And I think about the rage in context of this reading is using your rage in order to, if you're at a place where you don't like right now, use your rage in order to shift the winds of your life. Don't just sit there and take it in. Oh, I'm gonna wait for God. I'm gonna wait for a God to change my circumstances. I'm gonna wait for this to change my circumstances and blah blah blah. forget all of that. You know what I mean? Like, you be the reason behind that, and then you starting that fire, you lighting that fire, and then the other elements, the spirit, and all of that can come along and give you that energy of, basically it gives you that change in the wind. It starts to fan your flames. That's what I was thinking of. And it starts to push that even more. So the symbolism here is to warn against blind and destructive rage, though. So you want to have that rage, and have it for a reason. And the association here with the gods is like Menet, Menhit. So Menhit, which is like a Nubian goddess of war, which is funny. It's like men at the front of this goddess's name. But this was a ferocious aspect of Sekhmet, who was eventually assimilated by the goddess of Mut, M-U-T. So different aspects, and I think it's like, I like the symbolism of, I don't believe in a lot of religions and all of that, but I like the symbolism of what these things are, because it shows the divine aspects of you, right? So rage is a reaction to pain that is caused by a lack of or insufficiently expressed love. We feel we deserve to receive. So when you are, let's say, even with situations, when you're looking desperately for a change in when, and you're, ready for your situations and circumstances to change, it can be rage that, you deserve better. You know that you want more. You know that, yeah, you haven't even been living up to your highest standards. You know that you want to do more. You know that, and we can push it off on, oh, well, I've been distracted with family, or I've been distracted with work, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, you have to take the responsibility and say, I'm mad about what I haven't been getting to do. I'm mad about the fact that I need to do more, and I'm mad about the fact that I haven't accomplished more with what I already have. So I'm going to take that rage and I'm going to make it do something constructive rather than be destructive with it. So whether you become, raged about somebody at, with, somebody who's put you in a position, or whether you're becoming rage with yourself, there is great power in knowing how to use this, because once you are aware that anger is your reaction to the pain that you're experiencing from the love that you feel like you deserve, right? There can be this can be used more effectively, right? You can move it more effectively. And the problem is that it is much easier for most people to just rant and rave about how mad we are about something. You know what I'm saying? You want to call this person, call that person, tell them about the situation that's going on. And, of course, we all have the ability to acknowledge that we are hurt, but the inability to admit to feeling pain and to deal with that pain then makes you more enraged, and it eventually leads to more retaliatory thoughts, which leads to more rage. So that's why I said to take it. And really how we saw the card lastly coming out of transformation. Now you have the card of rage, so it's like transforming your rage, transmuting your rage into another healthier aspect of yourself, obviously, and I'm hearing my neighbor right now snoring. It's like symbolism. But so let us not focus on like anyone outside of yourself that is committing the wrongs, but rather trying to focus on bringing the focus back to where it belongs, is yourself. You know what I mean? If you're in a difficult situation, taking responsibility can be a hell of a thing to help you, right? So that can bring you along very much easier to, accepting, and so that you can transmute and move on, right? Let me shuffle, 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 shuffle. Last card. Are you ready? Last card for this deck anyway. This one is the first card. Pros- Prospertinium. Prospertium. I still can't speak Latin. But this card says, reason determines the weight of every harvest. Reason determines the weight of every harvest. So the symbol here is like the navel stone, which is a symbol of the great goddess that can be found throughout the world. Which is like, you can always the navel stone is like down here, but the navel stone is right there, and it's a part of what's basically the symbol of the goddess, which some scholars suggest that these stones were deliberately placed at oracle centers to like they were placed at oracle centers, and people of the ancient world constructed the majority of temples and other sacred places with great purpose according to sacred geometry and like astronomical considerations to benefit themselves and the generations to come. So the goddesses that can be basically the goddesses that are associated with this card is Cybele, 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 right? Which is the mother goddess. Her worship spread to Greece, Rome, Libya, Kemet, and her temples and sanctuaries were in caves or mountains. And the other one is Melissae, Melissae, as well. She's also known as Melissa or Queen Bee, which were, because Melissa, it means bees. But we often hear people say everything happens for a reason. While this is certainly true, it is also used to divert attention from a purpose or from why a choice was made that led to what appears to be a fateful occurrence. There is nothing in the universe that does not have a purpose, and as expressions of that law, we must also have a reason for why we think or act in a particular way. It does not matter if we are conscious or unconscious of the reasons. Something occurs in outer space or inner space, we know that everything is based on the laws and is therefore following orders dictated by those laws. So it's like this says a lot about air and all of that as well, because that's the energy, the changing energy, right? And there are plenty of times in life where we will feel that there are good reasons to believe in or do something, or in other words, we are applying meaning or purpose to our lives every day with every choice or every decision that we are making, big or small, whether we are noticing it or not noticing it. And when you're just like when you read an obituary, you just see a overall view of the type of person that they were, but those like the type of person that they were is like the small changes that were made over the time, that let other people know what type of person that you were and how you carried yourself. You know what I mean? So all of these things that you do are counting. So even when you're transforming yourself, you can look at, well, even if you said, like how I said with this card, getting rid of something and throwing something out is a part of symbolism, but it is also a very great change that you can make within yourself. You know what I mean? And we can't negate that. We can't leave that alone about how helpful the small things can be, especially when life is all of these big moments, but all of these big moments are made up by every little small decision that you're choosing to make, like what you're choosing to wear, and not being stuck in any one place. Like I said, change is the only thing that is definitely the most current, and change is the one thing that you can that is going to be there no matter what happened. You're going to change this body, you're going to change your mind, you're going to change your circumstances. Now let's change the deck. I like doing that. I feel like these cards are flexible enough for me to get one of those out. of Swords in reverse, which is about, recovery, hope, healing, new beginnings, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, transformation, right? It's that energy. It's that energy all the way. Let me turn this to the side, y'all. Okay. So, that energy, just your life being turned around, your nose turning into yeses. This is also an air sign as well for, this is an air reading. But the 10 also is representing going up a level higher. Where, the number 9 is like the end of a cycle. The 10 represents, coming back and coming in on a greater level. So allow things to change, to leave your life and to, transform as well. Let's get another. Let's get another. Let's get another card. Alright, what we got here is a lot of, I like this, it's like 5, we had 3 5s now. So we have that, which is these 2 5s made the 10. But now we have another 5, and it's also in the reverse position of recovery, hope. Again, we have a card of recovery, that's crazy. Hope and reaching out for help, acceptance and relief. So it's like that, even that card of saying, like at the end of the tunnel, the energy of, your nose turning into yeses, your, whatever you're needing, even if you were in a period of isolation. So you saw this card of saying soulmate. So, whatever you're needing is like being on its way towards you. You know what I mean? Your help, your healing, all of that. Even you can see this person, if you've ever seen this card before, you can see this person with the broken leg, and just that energy of being healed. And I would say another one of my quotes I love is like the same thing that broke you is not what's going to be that heal you. So I would say that internally it's like the same state of mind that you were in, the same decisions that you were making when you were broken. That's not going to be the same decision that you're making when you are better. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the same decision that you're making when you are in a different place, because once you're in a different place, you're acting as yourself that is, has changed. So that's all for your betterment. You know what I mean? Don't take everything, even if it seems to be a negative, take it in stride. Don't look at it like, oh well, this thing is happening to me. Take it in stride and say, well, what can I learn from this? What can I take from this? How can I improve and be better from this? Let's go one more. And the full card is like, oh wow, I like that. It's like the starting at 0. The starting at 0. The 0 point, you know what I mean? The starting at 0 is representing like going on a new journey, new beginnings. You know how I said, this card is like the card of, going up a higher level. It's like taking what you've learned from your past and, going on a new beginning and giving yourself the freedom, giving yourself the ability to, be spontaneous and to, not, like I said, oh, I like that. It's a no, and then it turned into a yes. So it's like turning your nose into yeses, you know what I mean? And having optimism. It might not always happen how you want it to happen, but it's going to happen in the best way that it can for you when it needs to, right? So I am very excited about, what is on the precipice for you. I am happy as ever, you know what I mean? I'm an air as well, so I got